guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name's Lindsay and I do tax accounting in Boston. So it is Friday. I am so happy, but a lot of you guys suggested that I do a things that I wish I knew as a new hire video, and here I am doing that. So I'm assuming that if you're watching this, you are either new or going to soon be new, and I just want to say that the Big 4 is very intimidating, but I promise you, everybody starts off knowing absolutely nothing, and it's gonna be okay. I remember I was so nervous. I was like, Lindsay, if you can just make it through these first 2 days, I literally told myself that I was gonna go to this really famous donut bakery in Boston to celebrate for not internally imploding, because I get really nervous and I'm sure that a lot of other people do too. So just try to be kind to yourself. So the number one thing that I absolutely wish that I knew was that it gets better. It wasn't until my 6th month in, when I was starting to have career reviews, that a lot of people, or a few people, had told me, Lindsay, the first year is the worst. And I definitely want to attest to that. I'm getting near to my first year of experience and it's only really gotten better. And I think that new hires should know this, because when you're a new hire, they'll say, can you make me an authorization for services? Can you pull this billing analysis for me? Or can you tie this up? And every single time you have to wait according to their schedule for a time that they can tell you how to do it. So you'll be asked to do things and then say, hey, is there a time that you can do this? And then wait for any time in their schedule. But what's really exciting is with more time, they can tell you, hey, can you do this? And then you can start doing it on your own. And that is really exciting. So I do want to say that your first year is full of a ton of lessons from your seniors. And if you're independent, which I'm sure a lot of you guys are, it's gonna feel really nice to start doing it on your own. So if you're frustrated, just know that that first year goes by really quickly and you will end up knowing how to do things on your own. And with that, your stress shifts from not knowing how to do anything to at least knowing how to accomplish things, but having a larger workload. So the second thing that I wish that I knew was, I wish that I knew how to differentiate when to just instantly send a message to someone, like send a ping to them, as opposed to sending them an email. And this is an etiquette that I actually didn't really know was even an etiquette. Here are instances when you want to ping someone. You want a quick instant answer. You don't need documentation of it because pings disappear within 24 hours. And it's kind of going to be quick. An instance of when I would absolutely ping someone is if I'm asking, hey, can I swing by? That's something that you really don't need to email. Now, an instance when you would want to email someone is if you want to compile a list of questions for them to answer. And a really good reason to do this is that they can answer all those questions and they'll type back to each single bulleted question that you have, and then you can refer back to that weeks later on maybe another provision. And so this kind of paper trail that you have is really helpful, and my senior suggested this to me during our first review, and it kind of made a lot of sense to me. Another instance of when to email instead of pinging someone is if it's kind of a more formal matter and it's something that is serious. So I emailed HR that I needed more work, and I was able to print out that email and hand it back to them when I was upset about my review. However, the second time I asked for work, I only sent a ping, and I wish that I also had that printed out, because it would have further proved my case. So there's an instance for you guys. Just be very careful and really value that paper trail. Big accounting word, and it also applies to your emails. Number 3 that I wish that I knew was, I wish that I just straight up asked what my role was. And nobody really tells you this, I feel, as a new hire, but ask. Nobody's gonna be mad at you. If I had an intern or a new hire ask me, I still feel like a new hire, I would gladly tell them, this is kind of your expectation, and this is what my expectation is, and here's how I can kind of help you be able to fulfill that. Now here's a story of this. Okay, so in books of tax work papers, we have a M3 reconciliation, and I kind of had the impression that I would put in the trial balance, make sure everything was flowing for the most part, and then leave the tough stuff for the senior in a sense. And so I didn't know how to do this tie out. So I would do the best that I could. And then I gave it to my senior and I was like, hey, this is as far as I could push it with my understanding. And then it's kind of their job to review it, maybe clean up any little errors, maybe make sure that the certain forms are working out. Then we had a meeting amongst all of our coworkers, kind of just talking about formalities, and the senior actually mentioned, if I receive an untitled M3, I'm kind of pissed, like you guys need to do self-review. And I was just taken aback because I didn't realize that I need to do that myself. And so I didn't know how to do it, and eventually, I think it was weeks down the line, I finally had a formal sit down with a senior, explain it to me, and it was a lot easier than I thought it was. So seriously, ask, what do you want from me? And then at least you know where your gaps in understanding are. Oh my God, I wish that I'd asked that, because if I knew, I thought it was just a senior's job. If I knew, I would have 100% done it. So you guys just need to ask. Hindsight is 20/20, but just try to help out your future self. So the next tip is take a lap and then review it again. There are so many times when I did all the work, I blanked, and then I reviewed it, and then I gave it to my senior. But I can guarantee you what you need to do is close out the file, check it back in, work on something else, take a lap, go get a coffee, go to the bathroom, and then take a fresh look at it. And there are just little instances where I've realized that that was a review, and I thought I reviewed that, but how did I miss that? That's just something that's really helpful. My seniors also tell me this too. I think that self-review is a skill. You don't necessarily just do it, but you get better at it. And don't be hard on yourself. I mean, I'm so hard on myself. I think we all are. It's definitely a competitive field, but that's something that I wish that I knew to do. The next thing that I wish that I knew to do was barge in if things aren't right. I have spoken about this in my last videos, and it was November that I had 12% utilization. If you guys know what that means, that out of a 40-hour work week, I had work to do 12% of the time. I felt useless and embarrassed. I was asking everybody for work. I emailed HR, and I realized, looking back, if something doesn't feel right, if you're being paid and you're not getting learning opportunities, step in the office. Like, literally sit down with a big paper of your utilization. And this goes for any situation. I wish that I kind of had the confidence to understand this isn't right, because everybody's like, you're first year, that's normal. If it doesn't feel right to you, at least have a face-to-face conversation. And I'm glad to say, next time if there's an issue, I will be doing that. The next thing that I wish that I knew is it is not a 9-to-5, and that is really not the norm. I remember when I first started, it would hit 4 o'clock, and maybe I'd run into a senior or friends, and we'd be like, how are we doing? And I'd be like, good, like almost 5. And now I realize how stupid that sounds, because some people just leave at 7 o'clock every single day. So I guess just don't assume it's 5 o'clock for people. Managers, seniors work a lot. And so just when it hits 5 o'clock for me and when I'm done with my work, I literally look around and I feel like everybody else is still working. And there are days when I work later than others, but I think the general consensus is it's longer than to 5 p.m. The next thing that I wish that I knew as a Big 4 tax accountant is that if you're a perfectionist, you will go kind of crazy on a large client provision. And so a story time of this is that, okay, so I was doing a provision and I was like, okay, so I have this number for the fixed assets. And I was like, I need to compare this to the trial balance value. So I did a comparison, I ran a difference that was by a few $1,000s. So I called over my senior, I was like, hey, these do not match. And then she told me, what's the materiality? And I ended up realizing it was below materiality. So if you're having large differences, only take note if they're above materiality, and then compile a list and email it to your senior. So my first provision was a huge global client. We had to deal with a lot of really tricky topics, and I kind of wish that I kind of grabbed my bearings that things aren't really perfect. So the next thing that I wish I knew as a new hire, I can remember this day that I went through this, is ask for deadlines. I think that as a new hire, the first time that you have 4 things on your plate, it's very intimidating. And I kind of had this impression that I just had to get them all done by the end of the day. But there's no shame in asking, when do you want this by? And so I say this because if you get 4 things on a Thursday to do, and you try to rush all those things, you might make sloppy mistakes, and who knows, maybe that invoice that you want, that your senior asked you to do, could actually be due Monday, and then you wouldn't be so sloppy and rushed. So definitely do that. I think I had this impression that if I asked, when is this due, I was afraid it gave them the impression that I was trying to procrastinate or not do it at night because I wanted to go home, but Ask because it is not only nice to do to yourself, but it's also helpful to your senior, and it communicates that you want to prioritize items correctly. Oh my god, this is one of my last items that I wish that I knew to do. This is a good way to wrap it up, and this is, oh my god, before you get any files, look at your schedule of all your clients and go into your documents and make a folder for every single client. For client X, make a folder for client Z, make a folder for client ZB. I'm just like trying to make up client names. You are going to start downloading files, and I did this when I was a new hire, and I would just save them into my documents, and I'd be client C, invoice, client B, return from 2015, and it wound up getting really cluttered. And eventually I saw other people's folders who had more experience, specifically a senior who I really look up to, and he literally had all the clients listed out, and then within all of those clients there was an administrative folder, a compliance folder, a provision folder for lists of all the different years. Just avoid the little mistake that I did, and maybe you guys are a little bit better and a little bit more wary of computer organization, but I think that I didn't have client folders for at least the first 5 days that I had work to do, and I kind of just realized that it wasn't gonna work. Okay, so that concludes my video, you guys, and I hope that that was really helpful. And it's kind of crazy that I'm nearly hitting a year. I am getting my license in, oh my god, so my last video I said September, but I just cannot tell if my internship can count towards experience, because if I could count my internship towards my work experience, I would hit a year in September. If I can't, I would hit a year October 25th. I know friends who have counted their internship as work experience, but online it literally says it won't work unless the internship is longer than 2 months. So I'm annoyed because I don't know what to do. I really want my license, so I'm about to just apply in September, and you know what, if it doesn't work, apply again in October. I don't know. Yeah, that's my little catch up for you guys, and I do want to get to work now because it's Friday. Have a few things to wrap up before the office closure for the 4th of July. But thank you guys for watching. I hope that was helpful, and if you guys are nervous, oh my god, I like remember how nervous I was, and I wish I was in a position to mentor you guys, honestly, who really care and are invested in my videos, but I can't. So feel free to ping me, DMs on Instagram. I usually answer them if I have the time and if it isn't something really outrageous. I wish people would stop asking me what the NASBA requirements are for their state, because that's not my job and it's on the internet already. But other than that, I love DMs. Like one yesterday, just, oh my god, it warms up my heart so much. I love to hear from you guys. So have a great day. Subscribe if you liked this video, give it a like if you appreciated it, let me know. I'm trying to give you guys what you want, and have a great day.